if we had Dharma, it's a very good therapy to take responsibility. Instead of blaming our mother, I was touched. My father touched me. Oh God, thank God he did, no one else will. That's what I'd like to say. Imagine why me coming up, I was touched by my uncle. My uncle touched me every day. I'm like, I'm so glad, because I'm not thinking, I don't think you're getting touched anymore now. At least he had someone touching him. I mean, and then people go into all this neurosis. I was touched, and therefore I'm validated to hate people. I'm validated to hate this. I'm validated to get revenge. I'm validated to be mean, and the world owes me something because I was mistreated. I was touched. I was abused. I wasn't given love. I was the middle child. Oh, I'm under my father's tyranny. I have to work for my father. He makes me feel guilty. I have to work for my mother. I have to work for my auntie. I have to work for my uncle. I have to work for my cousin, because if I don't, the business goes down. I have to. It's me. I'm in that situation, and I can't get away from it. It's all being done to me. How many times have you heard that? I've heard that about 5,000 times in the last year. Well, let's go one step deeper, one step above. Do we want to be the victim? We want to be the victim? You are the victim. Or do you want to rise above your victimship and take responsibility? What's the difference to think that I created karma to be in this kind of family situation and to think that, why am I suffering like this? The difference is you stop asking why and stop lashing out at people, and you take responsibility. That's the difference. So if you believe that you have a previous life that created karma or hurt these people in some way, and therefore you're born back to them where you're out of control and they get you back, wouldn't that be a better thought? Isn't it healthier? Doesn't it make your mind widen up? Doesn't it make you take responsibility? Some people say, well, I don't have to take responsibility. Look, in life we have to take responsibility. So whatever theory you want to back that up to make you take responsibility, back it up with a theory that makes you take responsibility, because the end result is take responsibility. Whether there's a previous life or not, who cares? If that's what makes you take responsibility, great. Great. There might not be a previous life and a future life, but there's this life. So do you want to waste away blaming someone in the past? Do you want to waste away blaming on another individual, another person? Just waste it away all the time, blaming. You don't want to waste the next 10, 20, 30 years of your adult prime life blaming someone for your failure. So if you go one step further and think deeper, you won't blame another person. You'll blame less, and you can start releasing yourself. Because why? When you find out that you have control, which you do, and that you take responsibility, you can't sit there and say, poor me anymore. It doesn't gel. And that's what we want. That's the Buddhist intention, to make us take responsibility. So we can't blame our parents. We can't blame our situation we're in. We can't blame any of that. Why can't we blame any of that? Very simple. What created the karma? What created the karma for us to be in that situation? What created the karma to be in that situation? Why is it if we do good things, it's good merit, but the bad things that happen to us, we don't want to recognize it's the karma created from us? Why? Why? Why don't we want to recognize that? If we have a view that we are the creator and we create, we take responsibility. We can't go halfway. When things go wrong, well, that's the way the creator wanted it. And then when things go right, oh, that's the way I did it. We either give credit to the creator or we give credit to ourselves. It's not half and half. If it's half and half, if it's up to the creator, then nothing would be negative, right? So how come sometimes, when something's, it's your own effort. It's your own karma. It's your own results. Don't leave it to another person. Don't leave it to another creator. If we don't want to push the responsibility on a creator, why would we push it on another person? The person has much less power than a creator being. Much less power. Human beings, supernatural beings, all have less power than a creator. And if we don't want to acknowledge them or believe that they can do anything or can do anything, then we are the creator. So for us not to be involved is totally in our hands. No matter how eloquent we are in explaining, it is not. Whatever family situation we've been born into is totally our karma and our predisposition, no one else's. And whether our family's experience, our growing up experience was positive or negative, That was the past. This is now. So if your previous life was a recognized murderer, you don't have to murder in this life. If your previous life was a woman, you don't have to run around and dress in this life if you're a man. If your previous life was a man, and this life you're a woman, you don't have to run around as a woman. If you want to, you don't use the excuse, my previous life was a woman or a man, that's why I'm doing it. I'm in the wrong body. That's not an excuse. You choose your path because now you're in whatever body you're in. You don't use that as an excuse to cover. You don't use that excuse. You can't. Absolutely not. And to say, oh, I've heard people say in the past, oh, I'm in the wrong body, and therefore I can't deal with it, and I can't, and their whole focus is just on that. There's more to a person than just that. Everybody is complex and have so many facets of them that is unique and interesting, not just one facet. Women don't just focus that they are women and then they build their whole life just a woman or man, so nobody else should either. That's only one facet of the person, one facet. We can focus on the other facets, developing compassion, forgiving, kindness, growth, and pushing ourselves to succeed in something. We can do many things. We're artistic. We can sing, we can draw. There's many other facets we can focus on. So families, the way we grew up, our situation, and whether we can do things or not is not related. Not related. It cannot be related. Illogical and refutable is what we want to do now. We're all here on our own free will. Some people, for God's sakes, if you put yourself in a position where you're dependent on another person, you have to take responsibility because you have fear to be independent. You have fear to do otherwise. Therefore, you put yourself in a position to be dependent on someone, and therefore, along with that comes a territory of dependency. You have to take responsibility. You don't say, because I'm dependent on this person, I have to do this. You chose to be dependent on that person. You chose. You chose it. So if you choose it, you also take what comes with it. But you can also choose otherwise. You can also choose a different path, a different method. You can choose. Everything is by choice. And that's why we learn Dharma. That's why we learn about karma. That's why we learn about previous lives, because it gives us the philosophical knowledge to help us make the right choice. Philosophical knowledge. So let's think about that. Don't just let it be nice words and say, oh yeah, and then you write it down and you never think about it again. No, you've got to think about it. You've got to. It's important. If you don't, who will? Nobody enjoys living in negativity or being looked down upon. Nobody enjoys listening to another person make 1,000 excuses for otherwise. No one enjoys making 1,000 excuses when it can be otherwise. No one. It's in our hands. And if it's not accomplishable overnight, if we systematically go for it, it can be accomplished. It is our choice. There are people that truly don't have a choice. But we are not those kind of people.